Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. Barakatah Yahweh. This is going to be a new series that I'm going to be starting up. Something came to me earlier. You know, the new thing is the series, Apostle Torah has been doing lessons. Apostle Gabar is doing a new series on a new channel that he has. And as I was walking today, this idea came to me, to do a lesson on, and it's called GMS Biblical History Chronicles. And I was going to go into the Assyrians, but may do that a different day because I have to do a little more research. But I was going through my favorites and I ran across this article dealing with the Edomites. So this one's called the Edomites, GMS Biblical History Chronicles, the Edomites. And what you're looking at is Petra. There's still people that, are around. If you type in Petra or you type in the land of Edom, you'll still see people all up in this area. And this wasn't completely destroyed or burnt down, as we're going to go into the history of it. They'll give you different dates, different things, when this was fulfilled. But when you look at all of it, they're all wrong. Now, the Edomites were removed out of their land by the Nabateans, which were Arabic, so-called Arab or Ishmaelite tribes that conquered them, but they didn't totally wipe them out. There's a difference between conquering somebody's land, subduing them, and taking their resources and totally annihilating them. Like when Esau came to this side of the world, the U.S. cavalry totally took Gad's land, but Gad is still around. Gad is not destroyed. And when we read the scriptures say that there's no end of all people. The only time a people as a nation will be totally wiped out is the nation of Edom, the so-called white man, which will be annihilated, after they serve their 1,000-year punishment in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so without further ado, this is the article. I got it. I put it in the description box. It says, got questions. Your questions, biblical answers. And this is a joke. See, one thing Esau is good at, he's very good in going into history and going into different things. I was watching this Edomite earlier, going into the history of Assyria. He was getting down, he was going into the history and how they were saying at one time that Assyria didn't exist, so on and so forth. And this one archaeologist went and started digging things up, and he found clay tablets. Is how the Epic of Gilgamesh and all those other tablets and stories came to be, because he found, proof. See, because Esau needs physical proof that the Assyrian Empire actually existed. So in this case, it says, when were Obadiah's prophecies against Edom fulfilled? Obadiah 1:18-20. And the short answer to that is it hasn't been fulfilled yet. But if you leave it up to Esau, the so-called white man, to tell this narrative, he's going to say it that it's fulfilled. You know why? Because the Edomites are all done away because they want nothing to do with Edom. And the word Edom comes from the Hebrew word Adawam, which means red. And they are the red people. And they don't want this on them. That's why a lot of times when people put Edom or Edomites or, Amalek or certain titles in their lessons, they usually get taken down. So if this gets taken down, oh well. But truth is truth. So it says, question. When were Obadiah's prophecies against Edom fulfilled? Obadiah 1:18-20. And the answer to that is it hasn't been fulfilled yet. But this is what Esau does. Esau is the master at spinning things. Matter of fact, let's type in, just bear with me 1 second. Let's type in Let's see what comes out when we type this in. Oh, see, I hate when they do that. Okay, here we go. Let's go here. Spin doctor, a spokesperson employed to give a favorable interpretation of events to the media, especially on behalf of a political party. Now, this is just something that popped in my head. Spin doctor, that's a spirit. And it says, a spokesperson employed to give a favorable interpretation of events to the media, especially on behalf of a political party. And we know this to be so. Let's see. Let's see. Protocols. Just bear with me 1 second. I don't know if it's going to come up or not. But you know what? What I'll do is go to images and pull this out. Just bear with me 1 second. All right. The protocols of the learned elders of Zion. Right? Now, I actually happen to have the book. The actual book. I'm pretty sure you may be able to find it in PDF form or ebook online if you look hard enough. But we're going to go to protocol number 16. Right? And protocol number 16 reads as such. Let's see. Just let me get to the point. Right. When you go to the 4th paragraph, it says, we shall change history. And this is exactly what Esau has done. Ever since they were let out of their captivity for that 1,000-year period, they've gone around the world to deceive the world and to take hold of the world. Let's go real quick to Revelation 20. And we go straight to the point, the 7th verse. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, meaning Esau shall be loosed out of his prison, the adversary of the Most High, Esau, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth. And how did they deceive the earth? By painting their picture as being the Most High, being the Lord, being the angels, being the Israelites, and also by distorting history. So as we're reading in the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, protocol number 16, paragraph number 4, we shall change history. Classicism, as also any form of study of ancient history, in which there are more bad than good examples, we shall replace with the study of the program of the future. We shall erase from the memory of men all facts of previous centuries which are undesirable to us. See? And leave only those which depict all the errors of the governments of the Goyim. So pretty much, ever since they got power and control, they pretty much been on a campaign of deception. This is why Maya Angelou said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. And here we looked up the word spin doctor, a spokesperson employed to give a favorable interpretation of events to the media, especially on behalf of a political party. In this case, especially on behalf of a particular nation. And this is why when you try to search different information on Esau, Edom, so on and so forth, you're only going to get so far. Now, the historian Eustace Mullins, which is, passed, I forget what year it was he passed. I don't know if it was 2010, 2009, around there. He used a term when he referred to these Amalekites as Turco-Edomites. And the reason why he called them Turco-Edomites was because they came from that region where you had a lot of those Turks. Because when you do the history, those Ottoman Turks that conquered Constantinople and places like that, they were actually Edomites that converted to the religion of Islam. So they were so-called Muslim Edomites, for lack of better words. But you also had many different Turkish Edomite tribes in that region. And the region where Amalek comes from, that region known as the Khazaria, that was they were so-called Turks. They were Edomite Turks that lived in those lands that took on the religion, so to speak, that's called Judaism, which there's no such thing as Judaism. That's a man-made thing, but that's what they took on. That's why today they call themselves Jews, which they're not. So they're the masters at spin doctor, at spinning the tale. Now here it says spin. Let's see, propaganda. In public relations and politics, spin is a form of propaganda achieved through knowingly providing a biased interpretation of an event or campaigning to influence public opinion about some organization or public figure. And that's exactly what it is. Spin doctors, spin propaganda, learned the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, to where they will change history. And this is why they asked the question, when were Obadiah's prophecies against Edom fulfilled? Obadiah 1:18-20. And what he's about to say, most people just accept it. Why? Because it's coming from Esau. Now, whenever we say something, people want us to go and dig under every rock and every nook and cranny. I mean, we have to go and meticulously break it down for them in order for them to believe it. But all Esau has to do is open his pie hole and say what he got to say, and they'll believe it. That's what the scriptures say, that Jake is now no longer going to stay upon them that smote them, but they're going to be forced to stay upon the Lord, or Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So before I read, let's read some of this. Answer. A major factor in determining when Obadiah's prophecies against Edom were fulfilled rests on when the book was written. Esau always got to try to make logic out of everything. There's nothing spiritual about this devil. Everything with him is all tangible. Everything has to be tangible. It has to to the last nook and cranny. It says the prophet mentions a recent invasion of Jerusalem, chapter 1:10-11, which helps to narrow down the date of writing. Jerusalem experienced 4 different invasions in Old Testament times, yet only 2 fit the time period under discussion in Obadiah. The early date would be about 841 BC, when the Philistines and the Arabians attacked Jerusalem during the reign of King Jehoram, 2 Chronicles 21:16-17. The latter date would be approximately 586 BC, following the invasion of Babylon, 2 Kings 24 and 25, the 24th and 25th chapter. So this is what Esau is good at. He's good at going into history. If the earlier date is correct, Obadiah would be the earliest of the prophetic books in the Old Testament. Those who hold this position refer to 2 Kings 8:20, which mentions Edom setting up its own king. In his day, Edom revolted from the rule of Judah and set up a king of their own. Also used to support this date are the comparisons of 2 Chronicles 21:16-17 with Joel 3:3-6 and Obadiah 1:11-12, as well as similarities between Obadiah 1:1-9 and Jeremiah 49:7-22. All right, so they're giving you historical records of the possibilities of when this happened. All right, this is what they're saying. If the latter date is correct, the prophecy of Obadiah regarding Edom's doom is more dramatic. Babylon completed its invasion of Jerusalem under King Nebuchadnezzar in 586 BC in the 5th century BC. A people called the Nabateans defeated the Edomites and forced them from the city of Petra. The interval between prediction and fulfillment would therefore have been very short. Regardless of the exact date, the prediction against Edom have already been fulfilled. According to what? Now watch how this devil spin doctors his way, spin propaganda his way out of this next statement that he's about to make. Just to show you how demonic these devils are. Oh, another thing I wanted to look up was circumlocution. Circumlocution, right? Circumlocution, the use of many words where fewer words would do, especially in a deliberate attempt to be vague or evasive. And that's what they are. They are circumlocution. The word circum means to go around. Locution is where you get the word or logos, which is word around. So in other words, using many words, and that's what they're good at, using many words where you could use a few words and get your point across, but you're using many words to confuse people and make the point vague and evasive. So you never really answer the question, but you do so much talking that people be like, wow, did you see how amazing, you see that speech he gave? Yeah, but what did he really say? He ain't say shit. See, circumlocution is a phrase that circles around a specific idea with multiple words rather than directly evoking it with fewer and apter words. And that's Esau. Esau cannot give you a straightforward answer. That's how you know an Edomite. When you talk to an Edomite, he will never give you a yay or nay answer. It's always, he's going to go around the world in a day and back with all kind of words. And by the time he finishes talking to people, their head is spinning so much off of all those words that they forget what they were dealing with in the first place. It is sometimes necessary in communication, but it can also be undesirable. Yeah, because you want just the straight skinny. All right, so it says, regardless of the exact date, the prediction against Edom have already been fulfilled. Oh yeah? Really? Really? Edom was removed from its land in the 5th century BC, and there are no survivors of Edom today. Bullshit. Matter of fact, let's dispel that myth real quick. Let's go to the book of, it's either Ecclesiastes 6 or Ecclesiastes 4. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 4 first. 4 and 16. There is no end of all the people, even of all that have been before them. They also that come after shall not rejoice in them. Surely this is also vanity and vexation of spirit. Why? Because when the Most High created the nations, he created them to be on the earth. So those nations will be here. The only nation that is going to be destroyed is the nation of Esau, or the nation of Edom, should I say. Because that's what the scriptures say. These are the people of the Lord's curse that he fitted to this destruction. So that's the only nation that's going to be totally done away with. But it hasn't happened yet. But the reason why they say that it was already fulfilled is to get away from that stigma of Edom being upon them. All right, so now let's go back. It says, and there are no survivors of Edom today. Now check this out. This fulfilled the prediction of Obadiah 1:18. They shall burn them and consume them, and there shall be no survivors of the house of Esau. So it says that they were going to be burnt. So what historical thing happened where all the Edomites were rounded up by these Nabateans and roasted in the fire? When did that happen? Because that's what the scripture says. That's going to be the fulfillment. So when did that happen? It didn't. Now check out Spin Doctor, who the hell wrote this article, man? They didn't even have the decency to put a what you call it to it. They didn't even have the decency to put a name to who wrote this bullshit. Got questions. So it says, they shall burn them and consume them, and there shall be no survivors for the house of Esau, right? So the Nabateans fulfilled that. But now listen, some first century leaders, such as Herod the Great, still trace their ancestry to Edom. So how in the fuck can the Edomites be done away with in the 5th century BC by the Nabateans if you still had survivors after that? But this is spin doctor circumlocution at its finest. Because this is something that's been brought up many times. This is one of the things that Elder Apostle always brings up. The Herodian dynasty. Those are Edomites. Antipater and them. They were all Edomites. Where the hell did they come from? If the fulfillment of Obadiah was already fulfilled against them. It says, but all mention of Edomites fades after the Jewish wars of that era. At the end of the 4th century, Jerome referenced the land of Idumea, Edom, but the people of the region had long since disappeared. Yeah, because they were dispersed out of that land because the Nabateans took over that land. And this is why today, when you look up the word Edom or Esau in the matter of fact, let's go here. I believe it's either Edom or Esau. Let's look. Let's see what what comes up. Let's look up the word Edom. What the hell? Let's look up the word Edom. It's either Edom or Esau. Let's read the scripture first. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore it was his name called Edom. So that's what the word Edom means, red. Right? So now when we go to Edom, they say Adam, which is not Adam, it's Adawam. Matter of fact, let's go back. Let's see what it has here. See? Look at how devilish these devils are. Wam. These are 4 letters. A, da, wa, and a ma. That's a final landma. A, da, wa, meaning the certain letters that are at the end of a word are different than they're written if they're written in another part of the sentence or word. So a, da, wam. But when you go down to Edom, Adam, which is Adam, that doesn't go to Adam. It's Adawam. Edom, red. All right, this one doesn't go into it. So it might be, it just talks about Idumea, brother of Jacob. All right, so now let's go to Esau. Excuse me. And the word Esau, Ishashwa, means wasted away is he. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So now when we go to Esau, Ishaw, and the whole word really is Ishashwa. It should be Ishashwa, which the Y at the end is he, and Ishash is wasted. Wasted away is he, or wasted is he. Why? Because the pigment was wasted. Esau does not mean hairy. The word for hairy is the word seer or sha'ir. Eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah and twin brother of Jacob, sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor of the Arab people. That's a goddamn lie. It's a goddamn lie, because the Ishmaelites are the progenitors of the so-called Arab people. Let's go to Ishmael. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And that's what Ishmael means. Yashemai Allah, which actually means he has heard of the power, not affliction. Yashemai Allah, Yah is he, Shemai is heard, and Allah is power. He has heard of the power. So we go to Ishmael, right? Yashemai Allah, Ishmael, God will hear, which means he has heard of the power. Son of Abraham and Sarah's handmaid Hagar, and the progenitor of the Arabian people. So how in the fuck can Esau be the progenitor and Ishmael? Here we got the circumlocution. Here we got the spin doctorism. Here we got the change of history, where they're moving out things that are unfavorable to them and putting it on other people, which they call the Goyim. All right. It says, so we read this. We read that already. So now let's go from there to Job chapter 13 and 4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. And that's exactly what they are. Let's go to 2 precepts, Job 9, which brothers already know. And the other one is Job, in the book of Job also. Okay. Job 9 and 24. It says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who gave the earth into the hand of the wicked? The Most High did. Because the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. Let's get that. Daniel 4 and 17. It says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. So it's the Most High that holds the power and the sway on the planet Earth as to who's going to rule and who's not. It says, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So whatever nation he wants to give it to, he gives it to them. Because all nations had a chance to rule on the planet Earth. And setteth up over it the bases of men. And we see the basis of men being set up over it. Because these cavemen that are ruling, which are Edomites, they are the basest of men. And that's just the truth. And that is a part of what the Lord said would befall the serpent, which is really the same people. That serpent, the devil, Satan, the dragon, they are all representative of the nation of Edom. So the word Shapar, low, lowliest of station. So they are the lowest of the low. They are the bottom of the pile. When it comes to nations, they are the lowest nation on the totem pole. Morally, spiritually, on all levels. Ethically, however you want to put it. However you slice it, it comes out base. Like that old Snickers commercial, no matter how you slice it, it comes out peanuts. Well, no matter how you slice it, it comes out base. And when you go to Job, the 30th chapter, it tells you about their history up in the caves. And Esau is the one that has that history of being up in the caves like that. The original people that inhabited the land of Hor, which were the Horites, which were Hamites, they were dark-skinned people. They weren't living in those deplorable conditions. They just happened to live in that land before Esau got there. But the only people that have that deplorable history of being up in loincloths and up in the caves and grunting, can't even talk straight, eating whatever madness they could get their hands on. No one else has that shameful history but Esau. So now let's go from there back to Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So we know that they were given this position by the Most High, because even a base person like that can get power. And their wisdom is centered around taking the different points in history from other nations and their inventions and applying it to themselves and acting like they're the ones that came up with it. So one of the greatest things besides rob, rape, and murder that these devils have provided to the planet Earth is deception. That's on the top of the list. It says he covered the faces of the judges thereof, and it ain't hard to tell. All you got to do is go back into the images of the Lord, of the Most High, the Lord, and of the angels and the Israelites, and he puts up his face instead of the Lord's face. If not, where and who is he? So if Esau didn't do it, if the so-called white man didn't do this, who did it? And where are they? Point to anyone, any nation on the planet Earth and say, who did that? Who put their face up? Who covered up the faces of the judges and put their face up in their stead? Who did it? And if you're really sincere and you're really honest, being honest with yourself, you will have to come to the conclusion that the so-called white people are the ones that did that. So they are the wicked. They're the ones that went around and changed everything and took everybody's face down and put their face up. And they're being worshipped as if they're God. That's why if you tell a person that could be black as an ace of spades that God is the Most High, is a so-called black man, they will look at you like you had 7 heads. They'll look at you like they want to kill you, because they've been programmed in their mind and it's been etched and seared in their mind that the Most High is a so-called white man. When having that pale skin that they have is nothing but leprosy. Unbelievable. All right, Job 12:26. I'm sorry, 12:16. I don't know why I keep saying 26. Or in my mind anyway. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. So the Most High controls both sides of the spectrum. So the ones that are deceived are his, and the ones that are doing the deceiving are his. All right? So now let's move from there to the book of Obadiah. Now we're going to go straight to the point, and then we're going to go and hit a few points in here and, probably end the lesson there, depending on the Spirit, how the Spirit allows it to go. I'm going to just go straight to the point, and then we're going to jump around. All right, Obadiah 1:18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. So the nation of Israel is going to be this consuming fire, and the nation of Esau is going to be stubble. It didn't say anything about the Ishmaelites or the Nabateans coming in there and taking down the Edomites and dispersing them out of their land. Now there's another nonsense that's being taught in the book of, I believe it's Second Ezra's, the 5th chapter, I believe it is. Or is it first Ezra? No, it's first Maccabees. Salaki, I was just trying to remember. First Maccabees, the 5th chapter, where they're trying to say that this was a time when Esau was destroyed and burnt down during the time of the Maccabees. But once again, where did the Herodian dynasty come from? Which is a known historical fact that they were Edomites. There's no denying that. That's why Yahweh Bashem Shai is beautiful, man. How he's a master chess player, because he knew later on that these devils would try to do that. Well, that was already fulfilled. And just because they say it, that's gospel. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. So going back, so it does not say that the Nabateans, and if you type in Nabateans, the Nabateans are not going to show up anywhere in the scriptures. All right? Unless it would come up under their ancient biblical name of the Ishmaelites, or one of those tribes, if they can trace their line to that. But you're not going to see the word Nabateans in the scriptures. It ain't going to happen. So it does not say that the so-called Arabs or the so-called Ishmaelites, were going to be the ones that will take down Esau or Edom. All right? So that is total nonsense. It says the house of Jacob and the house of Joseph, meaning the two kingdoms joined together, are going to be this fire. And Esau is going to be for stubble. And this is talking about actual fire. Because in the kingdom of heaven, after the Edomites serve their punishment, their slavery, they're going to be totally burnt up. So we got fire, which is Ash. We got flame, which is Lahab, or Lahaba, or Lahab. And we got stubble, which is Quash. Quash. Stubble, chaff. Quashash, to gather, assemble, gather stubble or sticks. So Esau is going to be, how you go out to the woods and you want to kindle a fire and you got to get the firewood, you get them branches that are hanging around. That Esau, the people are going to be the branches, and we're going to set them on fire. All right, so they're going to be the gathering stubble. They're going to be that dry, the dry twigs and the dry leaves that you put prior to you to set in the fire. So it says nothing about any Ishmaelites or any other nation doing this. So this is how you know. See, this is why you got to pay attention to what these devils are saying. Because they'll do that. They spin this way and spin that way, and before you know it, they're done away with. The Nabateans did it in the 5th century. They were completely destroyed by the Nabateans in the 5th century. Although you had the Herods, that were Edomites in the 1st century AD, but they were totally done away with by the Nabateans. These devils are too much, man. Too fucking much. It says, and they shall kindle in them. So let's look up the word kindle. What does the word kindle mean? Let's look up here, kindle in them. Dalak, to burn, hotly pursue. To burn, to hotly pursue. In this case, is to actually burn, to kindle, to inflame, to burn them. So if you go down here, you're going to see different instances where pursuit is used, chasing is used. But in this case, it's talking about an actual fire, kindling. See, Ezekiel 24:10, heap on wood, kindle the fire. That's what's being used here. So Esau is going to be that kindling wood. And the Lord, man, Yahweh Shem Shai is beautiful, man, because I didn't know this was in there. That's totally the spirit. Heap on wood, kindle the fire, consume the flesh and spice it well, and let the bones be burnt. And this, this ain't talking about Esau, but this is the same synonym or same application, so to speak, with the Ezekiel 24:10 and Obadiah 1:18. A burning, not a pursuing, a burning. So he shall kindle, let's see, And they shall kindle in them. And what? And devour them. Devour them. Let's look up the word devour. Akal, which means to eat. To eat, devour, burn up. In this case, we're looking at it in the sense of being burnt up. Not in the feeding or in the devouring as eating flesh, but in the burning up. That's what it's talking about. To devour, consume, destroy. See? So going back. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and together, and the house of Esau for stubble. They're going to make Esau stubble, and they shall kindle in them. And Esau is going to be, the men, women, and children are going to be the twigs and the branches for the fire, and devour them, totally consume them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. But I said this was fulfilled in the 5th century BC when the Nabateans came and got the Edomites out of there and pushed them out of that land. Although in the 1st century AD you had the Herodian dynasty, but they were totally, completely done away with. These devils are too much, man. For the Lord hath spoken it, not you, Esau, you goddamn devil. The Lord hath spoken it. All right. Now, there was something else that came to mind. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go to what is that? Ezekiel 35. But before we read that, let's go back, because there's another part in here. Right here, verse 8. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understanding out of the mount of Esau? And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. See, slaughter. Not, running them out of their land and taking over their land and their resources. No, slaughter. But how is this slaughter going to come? By way of fire. Slaughter, fire, devour, kindle, fire, wood. Esau, you're the wood, and we're going to be the fire that's going to kindle upon you in the kingdom of heaven after you serve your punishment. Now in Ezekiel 35, right, you can read this whole thing, but I'm going to read the 5th verse. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. Oh, just remember something. Salakia, give me a hot second, because I've been finding these little nuggets on on the web. So we're gonna get to that. Like little excerpts from the Zondervan Bible Dictionary that brother's been taking pictures of and highlighting. Beautiful, so it could make the job easier, so we could actually see it and read it. Because that's the way, it is. Salaka, feeling them doves coming on. Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. And Esau has done this in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountain with his slain men. In thy hills and in thy valleys and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolation, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. So that didn't happen when the Nabateans took over, because they took over that land. And that land, you still see, people look at Petra as just this picture here. All right. There is a video where I don't remember what it's called, but I believe it's these Edomites that are going on a journey through the land of Petra, and they have to walk miles to get from one site to another. So the land of Edom and Petra is way bigger than just this. People say the land of Petra. They just this is it. No, it's when you go there, it's a tour that you take, and you have to walk miles to get from one point to the other. And they have different buildings, different structures, different things that are all pertaining to this, and it's a part of that whole. It's like a museum now. That people go there. They I believe they have certain restaurants in certain places, if I'm not mistaken, or they got to bring your own food. I forget. I saw it a while ago. But if you type in the Land of Petra documentary or maybe a tour, you know, they take you from one place to the other, and they show you all the different places. So it's not just one. It's not just this. You know, and this is booming with activity. So the Lord said that they're going to be totally wiped out by slaughter. It says, and it's going to be perpetual desolation. There's still people there. There's still buildings there. Because this is not talking about ancient Seir, ancient Petra. This is talking about America, Babylon the Great, which is the new Mount Seir, so to speak. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there, meaning what? The two kingdoms, the southern and the northern. Esau didn't have control over those nations back then, the nation of Israel. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will even do according to thine anger and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee. And you will be judged. You will be judged. And this destruction is just the beginning of your punishment. That's just the humbling you down part first. The first part of the humility. Then comes hardcore slavery. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. And that's what you believe. You believe that we were given into your hands for you to just do whatever you want. It says, thus with your mouth you have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them. Thus saith the Lord power. Listen good. When the whole earth rejoiceth, which that's not happening now. When the whole earth rejoiceth, the Most High said that his words don't go out void. So is the whole world rejoicing? No. So this prophecy hasn't been fully fulfilled yet. When the whole earth rejoiceth, I will make thee desolate. The world is not rejoicing, and you're still around. As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee, because you took our land. So the Lord said he's going to do the same unto you. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So all of you are going to be cut off by slaughter. And this is not talking about ancient Edom. It's talking about America today. Because America is Edom today. Basra, the capital of Edom. And you will feel it. So now this is from the Bible, Zondervan Bible Dictionary under Edom. It says Edom figures prominently in the prophetic scriptures as a scene of great future judgment. See notably Isaiah 34 verse 5 and 6 and Isaiah 63 and 1. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites who was not given any promise of mercy from the Most High, because they will be totally annihilated. What they should have had on here was Obadiah 1:18. That's another scripture they should have had on here, because that has not been fulfilled yet. And don't give me that bullshit of the Nabateans, because this says that the house of Jacob and the house of Joseph are going to be the flame, and Esau is going to be the stubble. So the ones that's going to burn up Esau and totally destroy him are going to be the Israelites. Not no Ishmaelites, no Nabateans, and no other Teans. The Israelites. That's who's going to destroy you. The real Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. That's who it's talking about. So this has not been fulfilled yet. So don't give me that bullshit about the Nabateans. You know, they came in there and they conquered you. You know, and they took them, and it was all fulfilled. But you still had some survivors in the first century, How that happened, I don't know, but fucking devils, man, too much, man. And then they say that at the end of the 4th century, Jerome made reference to the land of Idumea, but the people of the region had long since disappeared. Yeah, but just because the people disappeared don't mean that they're still not around. There is no end of all the people. You are forgers of lies, man. You know? Just like you can go anywhere. There's certain lands where the original people are not there. Does that mean that those people are destroyed and done away with? No. They're just not living in that land right now. The Ishmaelites are down all in the Tyre, Zidon, down in Egypt. They're all in there. The original people that were there was Mitzrayim or Matazarium, the original Egyptians. But they're in there. But does that mean that the original Egyptians are done away with? As a people, they're gone? No. They're just not in their land right now. Easy work through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I mean, pretty much that's about it. I don't really have anything else. Oh yeah, if you brothers get a chance, you could read the book of First Maccabees, the 5th chapter, because this is what another thing that they try to say, that the Edomites were done away with here because their houses were burned or something like that. But once again, what about the Herodians? They can't get around them dang Herodians, man, them Edomites. Antipater and them. That's the Lord throwing a monkey wrench in your shit, Esau. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom. Ancient Edom. It's talking about America today. Because America is Edom today. Basra, the capital of Edom. And you will feel it. So now this is from the Bible, Zondervan Bible Dictionary under